Blood spills from small hands. Killers so young they still want bedtime hugs. These aren't the bad guys you expect. They're kids, and their scary crimes will grab you before you can breathe. Today, we're plunging into the dark abyss of 5 jaw-dropping cases where young minds unleashed violence so savage it left the world reeling. These stories span decades and continents, proving evil doesn't care about age or borders. We're counting down from 5 to 1, building to the most evil child in history. Number 5. Graham Young, the teacup poisoner. Graham Young, a 14-year-old from London, turned the humble teacup into a vessel of death. Known as the teacup poisoner, this kid crafted nightmares with a precision that'd make a seasoned assassin jealous. Graham Young came into this world in 1947, born in the gritty suburb of Neasden, London. His mother died when he was just a baby, leaving him with his father, Fred, a man who'd remarry a woman named Molly and an older sister, Winifred. On the surface, it was a typical working-class family, but beneath that facade, Graham was brewing something sinister. By age 11, he was hooked on chemistry. He devoured books on toxicology, idolized poison-wielding killers like Dr. Harold Crippen, and even started swiping chemicals from school. While other kids collected stamps, Graham collected deadly secrets, scribbling notes in a hidden lab of his own making. His family had no clue they were living with a ticking time bomb. The terror began in 1961, when Graham, barely 14, decided to turn his experiments into reality. His first target, his stepmother, Molly Young. He slipped antimony, a toxic metal that eats you from the inside, into her tea, watching as she crumbled. It started with violent vomiting, then her hair fell out in clumps, and soon her organs began shutting down. Doctors were stumped, chalking it up to some mystery illness. But Graham knew the truth. Molly died in April 1962. A slow, torturous end, and Graham didn't shed a tear. But he wasn't done. Next, he dosed his father, Fred, with the same poison, landing him in the hospital with searing stomach pain. His sister, Winifred, got a taste too. Her morning brew leaving her doubled over, barely alive. Even schoolmates weren't safe. He spiked their lunches, turning classrooms into scenes of chaos as kids clutched their guts in agony. Graham's method was diabolically simple. A pinch of death in tea or food, then he'd sit back, eyes gleaming, studying their suffering like a scientist with a petri dish. The House of Horrors couldn't stay hidden forever. By late 1962, Fred Young started piecing together the puzzle. His wife was dead. He'd nearly followed her. And Winifred's sickness mirrored his own, all while Graham hovered nearby, eerily calm. Suspicion turned to action when Fred tipped off the police, who swooped in and tore apart Graham's room. What they found was a goldmine of terror. A diary, meticulously detailing every dose, every symptom, every reaction, like a cookbook for murder. He'd even jotted down plans for future victims. Arrested at 14, Graham didn't flinch. Doctors poked and prodded, diagnosing him with a personality disorder, hinting at a mind warped by isolation and a twisted admiration for Nazi experiments. The courts didn't mess around. He was packed off to Broadmoor Hospital, a fortress for Britain's most dangerous minds, locked away by 1962. At an age when most kids were chasing dreams, Graham was caged for turning his into nightmares. He'd stay there 9 years, leaving the world to wonder, could a kid this cold ever be fixed? In 1971, at 23, Graham walked free, declared cured by doctors who clearly missed the memo on evil. He didn't waste a second. Within months, he landed a job at a photography factory in Bovingdon, Hertfordshire, and the poison games started anew. This time, he traded antimony for thallium, a silent killer that mimics natural illness. 2 co-workers, Bob Eagle and Fred Biggs, dropped dead after sipping tea Graham had kindly prepared, their bodies ravaged by hair loss, paralysis, and organ failure. Others fell sick, clutching their throats, as the office turned into a death trap. The pattern was too familiar, and in 1972, police nabbed him again after finding thallium stashes and more damning notes. Tried as an adult, Graham smirked through the courtroom, earning a life sentence with no hope of parole. He spent his days behind bars, a quiet menace, until a heart attack claimed him in 1990 at age 42. His legacy? A stark warning that brilliance in the wrong hands becomes a blade, and Graham wielded it with a child's curiosity and a killer's heart. What drove this kid to kill so methodically, to watch life drain away without a flicker of guilt? Was it the loss of his mother, the thrill of control, or something darker wired into his soul? What do you think pushed Graham over the edge? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and let's unpack this mystery together. Number 4. Daniel Bartlam, the Coronation Street Killer. In the quiet streets of Nottinghamshire, England, 14-year-old Daniel Bartlam turned a late-night TV binge into a blood-soaked horror show. Dubbed the Coronation Street Killer, this teen didn't just watch his favorite soap opera, he lived it, swinging a hammer in a crime so brutal it left a nation gasping. Daniel Bartlam grew up in Redhill, a sleepy corner of Nottinghamshire. Born in 1996, he shared it with his mother, Jackie, a hard-working single mom, and his younger brother, Dominic. To neighbours, Daniel was a soft-spoken kid, blending into the background like a shadow. But beneath that unassuming exterior, something was simmering. By 14, he'd latched onto violent media, hours spent glued to shows dripping with gore. His obsession zeroed in on Coronation Street, a British soap opera millions watched for drama, not death. One storyline hooked him hard, a character named John Stape, bludgeoning someone with a hammer. Daniel didn't just enjoy it, he studied it, his quiet life masking a mind that was starting to fracture. Jackie saw a moody teen. She didn't know she was raising a ticking bomb ready to explode on Easter Sunday 2011. That explosion came on April 25th, 2011. It was late, and Jackie Bartlam was asleep, but Daniel had other plans. Inspired by that Coronation Street episode, he crept into her room, a claw hammer clutched in his hand. Without a sound, he brought it down on her skull, not once, but over and over, each blow shattering the silence with sickening force. Jackie never stood a chance. The attack was relentless, her life extinguished in a frenzy of violence, but Daniel wasn't done. To erase his tracks, he doused her body with petrol and struck a match, setting her ablaze in a fire that lit up the night. The premeditation was chilling. He'd scripted the murder on his computer, a twisted fan fiction mirroring the show, complete with hammer strikes and a cover-up blaze. Online, he'd hunted for tips on body disposal, his searches a roadmap to this carnage. As flames licked the walls, Daniel stood back, a 14-year-old architect of his own mother's destruction, calm as the chaos unfolded. The inferno couldn't hide the truth for long. Neighbours heard faint screams before the smoke billowed, and soon firefighters stormed the scene, pulling Jackie's charred remains from the wreckage. Daniel played the part of the grieving son, spinning a wild tale about a masked intruder who'd torched the house. But the cops weren't buying it. The fire was too deliberate, the body too central to the blaze. Digging deeper, they cracked open Daniel's computer and found a goldmine of guilt. That script, a carbon copy of the Coronation Street killing, laid out step by step how he'd end Jackie's life. His search history sealed the deal. Queries like how to get away with murder and burning a corpse painted a portrait of intent. Arrested in 2011, Daniel faced a 2012 trial that peeled back his mask. Psychologists took the stand, pointing to a personality disorder warped by violent media, a mind where fiction and reality bled together. He was convicted of murder, handed a life sentence with a 16-year minimum. At 14, he traded his future for a hammer and a match, leaving a courtroom stunned. Now, in his late 20s, Daniel Bartlam sits behind bars, a living relic of a crime that still sends shivers down spines. As of 2025, he's inching toward that 16-year mark. But parole's no guarantee for a killer this cold. His case ripped open a firestorm, parents clutching remotes, lawmakers eyeing TV ratings, all asking, can a show really plant a seed this deadly? The public couldn't wrap their heads around it. Daniel's eerie calm, his flat voice recounting the act, felt inhuman. Jackie's friends spoke of a devoted mom, her life stolen by the son she'd raised. The Coronation Street team distanced themselves, horrified their drama had birthed a monster. This wasn't just a murder, it was a wake-up call, a spotlight on how fragile young minds can twist under the wrong glow. Daniel's legacy is a scar on Nottinghamshire, a reminder that sometimes the quiet ones are the ones to fear most. So, what's your take? Could a TV show really ignite a murder this savage, or was Daniel a powder keg waiting for any spark? Number 3. John Venables and Robert Thompson, James Bulger, murderers. In Liverpool, England, two 10-year-olds, John Venables and Robert Thompson, unleashed a crime so monstrous it shook the world to its core. In 1993, Liverpool's Bootle district was a rough patchwork of working-class homes, and that's where John Venables and Robert Thompson came from. John, born in 1982, lived with an alcoholic father whose boozy rages left scars and a mother struggling to hold it together. Robert, also born in 82, grew up in a house ruled by violence. His father gone, his mother battered by drink and despair, older brothers dishing out beatings that toughened him early. The two met at Walton Lane Primary School, a pair of misfits united by chaos. By age 10, they were skipping classes, shoplifting, and stirring trouble, their young lives already veering off the rails. On February 12, 1993, they ditched school again, wandering into the New Strand shopping centre with no plan, just a restless itch that had soon turned deadly. That day, 2-year-old James Bulger was at the mall with his mother, Denise. She turned away for a moment, and that's when John and Robert struck. They spotted the blonde-haired toddler alone by a butcher's stall and lured him out with a casual wave, leading him through the exit into the cold afternoon. What followed was a 2.5-mile trek across Liverpool, a harrowing journey for a child barely able to walk it. Witnesses saw them dragging James along, his tiny legs stumbling, tears streaking his face, but no one stopped them, assuming they were brothers. At a secluded railway line near Walton, the horror erupted. They threw blue paint into James's eyes, blinding him, then pummeled him with bricks and fists. They grabbed a rusted metal bar and battered his skull, the blows relentless. Finally, they dropped a 22-pound iron slab onto his head, splitting it open, and left his broken body sprawled across the tracks, hoping a train would erase their work. A freight train rolled over him 2 days later, cutting him in half, his tiny form discovered on Valentine's Day, 1993. The nation froze when James vanished. Denise's frantic pleas filled the news, and blurry CCTV footage from the mall hit screens. Two small figures leading a toddler away. It sparked a manhunt that gripped Liverpool. Police combing streets and canals for clues. Witnesses came forward, recalling the boys with a crying child, and tips pointed to John and Robert, known troublemakers in the area. On February 18th, cops hauled them in, their grubby clothes stained with paint and blood. Under questioning, they cracked. John sobbing, Robert stone-faced, spilling details of the attack with a chilling detachment. The trial began in November 1993 at Preston Crown Court. The boys just 11, making them the youngest convicted murderers in modern British history. The courtroom saw photos of James's mangled body, heard tapes of their confessions, and faced a public baying for vengeance. On November 24th, they were found guilty of abduction and murder, sentenced to detention at Her Majesty's pleasure, set at a minimum of 8 years. Crowds outside roared in fury, pelting police vans with stones, demanding life behind bars for the pint-sized killers. In June 2001, John and Robert, now 18, walked free from secure children's units. John from Red Bank, Robert from Barton Moss, granted new identities under strict anonymity orders. The parole board deemed them reformed, but their paths split. John Venables unravelled fast. In 2010, at 27, he was caught with child molestation, hundreds of images on his computer, landing him 2 years in prison. Released in 2013, he spiraled again, busted in 2017 with more vile material, earning 3 years and 8 months. He's still locked up in 2025, a name that reignites terror. Robert Thompson faded into shadows, living quietly under his alias. No arrests, no scandals, just whispers of a man dodging the past. James's parents, Denise and Ralph, fought for longer sentences, their grief fueling a nation's trauma. The anonymity laws shield the killers, but leaks and vigilante threats keep the case alive, a wound that won't heal. Was 8 years enough for slaughtering a toddler in cold blood? Let us know your take in the comments below. Number 2. Brenda Spencer, the Cleveland elementary school shooter. In the sunlit streets of San Diego, California, 16-year-old Brenda Spencer turned a peaceful Monday morning into a bloodbath. On January 29, 1979, she unleashed a hail of bullets on Cleveland Elementary School, a tragedy capped with her infamous quip, "I don't like Mondays." Brenda Ann Spencer was born in 1962 in San Carlos, a quiet San Diego suburb, but her life was anything but serene. She lived with her father, Wallace, in a cramped house across from Cleveland Elementary, a man who'd split from her mother years earlier. Their home was a mess, piles of junk, sparse furniture, and a growing arsenal. By 16, Brenda was drowning in dysfunction. Wallace gifted her a .22 caliber rifle and 500 rounds of ammo for Christmas 1978, a present she'd later turn deadly. She battled depression and guzzled booze to numb the pain, her grades tanking as she skipped school. Teachers flagged her truancy and violent outbursts. Once, she shot out windows with a BB gun, but no one acted. Her hatred for school festered, a storm brewing behind those hollow eyes, unnoticed until it burst wide open. That storm hit on January 29, 1979, a crisp morning when kids streamed into Cleveland Elementary, laughing and carefree. Brenda watched from her bedroom window, rifle in hand, her pulse steady as she took aim. At 8:30 a.m., she opened fire, the crack of gunfire shattering the quiet. For 20 relentless minutes, she sprayed bullets across the playground. Principal Burton Ragg, 53, ran out to shield his students and took a shot to the chest, collapsing dead on the asphalt. Custodian Mike Suchar, 56, dashed to help and caught a bullet in the gut, bleeding out beside Ragg. 8 children, ages 6 to 12, fell wounded, legs pierced, arms grazed, screaming as chaos erupted. A responding cop, Robert Robb, took a round in the neck but survived. Brenda fired 36 shots, her aim erratic but deadly. Barricaded in her house, she called a reporter during the standoff and delivered her now iconic line, "I don't like Mondays, this livens up the day." The flippant words landed like a gut punch, a teenager's shrug to a massacre. Police swarmed the scene, cordoning off the street as kids huddled behind desks, parents racing to the school in panic. Brenda kept shooting, pinning officers down until they cut her phone line and stormed the house. After 6 hours, she surrendered, stepping out with hands up, her rifle tossed aside. Inside, Cops found a stockpile, hundreds of rounds, a school map marked with vantage points. Proof this wasn't a spur-of-the-moment snap. Arrested at 16, Brenda faced trial in 1980, her sunken eyes staring blankly as charges piled up. She pleaded guilty to 2 counts of murder and 9 counts of assault with a deadly weapon. No fight, no tears. On April 4th, 1980, a San Diego judge sentenced her to life in prison with a chance for parole after 25 years, shipping her to the California Institution for Women. The courtroom sat silent, grappling with a girl who'd gunned down a school without blinking. Brenda's been locked up ever since. Her parole bids a grim ritual. Denied in 1993, 2001, 2005, 2009, 2019. Each hearing exposing her flat affect, her refusal to own the pain she caused. Her next shot comes in 2025, but at 62, freedom's a long shot. The massacre birthed a cultural echo. The Boomtown Rats' 1979 hit, "I Don't Like Mondays," climbed charts, immortalizing her words in haunting chords. Cleveland Elementary shut down years later, razed in 1983, replaced by a memorial park. But the scars linger. Brenda's attack was a pioneer in America's school shooting plague. Before Columbine, before Sandy Hook, a teenage girl with a rifle setting a precedent no one wanted. Parents clutched their kids tighter. Schools bolted doors, and San Diego reeled from a wound that wouldn't heal. Her lack of remorse, that casual Mondays quip, fueled a national shockwave. How could a kid turn so callous? Did Brenda's punishment match the havoc she unleashed? 2 lives snuffed out, 8 kids scarred, a community shattered. Life with parole on the table still stings for some. We're tossing this one to you. Was justice served, or should she stay caged forever? Number 1. Amarjeet Sada, the world's youngest serial killer. In the dusty fringes of India, a 7-year-old boy named Amarjeet Sada etched his name in blood as the world's youngest serial killer. With his tiny hands, Amarjeet snuffed out infant lives in cold, calculated silence, earning a title that makes him, without a doubt, the most evil child history's ever seen. Amarjeet Sada was born in 1998 in Mushahar, a dirt-poor village in Bihar, India, where survival was a daily grind. His family scraped by in a mud hut, part of a Dalit community crushed under poverty's weight. Malnutrition, disease, and death were neighbors here. Amarjeet's parents, landless laborers, raised him and his siblings amid this bleakness, but no records show beatings or neglect to explain what came next. By age 7, he was a small, wiry kid with a blank stare, his voice soft, his presence ghostly. Villagers noticed his stillness. He didn't play like others, just watched, detached, a shadow among the chaos. Infant deaths weren't rare in Mushahar, with sickness claiming lives often, but Amarjeet wasn't a victim of that grim statistic. He was something else, a predator in a child's frame, lurking unnoticed until his hands turned deadly. That deadliness surfaced between 2006 and 2007, when Amarjeet, barely past kindergarten age, embarked on a killing spree that froze his village in terror. His first victim was his 6-month-old cousin, a fragile girl he knew from family visits. In late 2006, he lured her away from watchful eyes, wrapped his fingers around her throat, and squeezed until her tiny gasps stopped. He dumped her body in a ditch, walking away without a flinch. Months later, in early 2007, he struck closer, his 8-month-old sister, cradled in their hut. While his mother cooked, Amarjeet strangled her, her limp form left on a mat, his face blank as ever. His third kill came in May 2007. A neighbor's 6-month-old daughter, Khushbu, just learning to crawl. He coaxed her from her mother's sight, dragged her to a field, and beat her skull with a brick, smashing until she lay still. Each time, he targeted babies, helpless, trusting, his confessions later revealing a chilling calm. "I liked it," he said. No tears, no fear, just a 7-year-old's voice recounting murder like a game. The village didn't catch on right away. Infant deaths blended into the norm of Mushahar's harsh life. But by May 2007, Khushbu's mother, Chunchun Devi, raised the alarm when her baby vanished. Villagers scoured the fields, finding her battered body under weeds, and whispers turned to Amarjeet, the quiet boy seen nearby. Confronted by elders, he didn't run or cry. He nodded, admitting all 3 killings with a shrug, detailing each act in a monotone that iced their blood. Police swooped in on May 27, 2007, hauling him to the station in Begusarai, his small frame dwarfed by handcuffs. Doctors examined him, searching for madness, schizophrenia, trauma, anything, but found nothing, just a mind eerily clear. Indian law capped his fate at age 7. He couldn't face adult charges. Instead, a judge sent him to a juvenile home in Munga, locked up for 3 years, the maximum for a child so young, leaving cops and villagers stunned by a killer they couldn't fully punish. Amarjeet walked free in 2010, just 12 years old, released from detention with no fanfare. Authorities scrubbed his trail. Some say he returned to Mushahar. Others claim he vanished into Bihar's sprawl, his new name a secret. In his village, fear festers. Parents clutch their kids tighter, eyes darting at shadows, convinced he's still out there. Khushbu's family fled, unable to face the place where their daughter died. The case hit global headlines, true crime buffs and psychologists poring over a boy who killed without motive or malice, just instinct. India's juvenile system took heat. 3 years for 3 murders sparked outrage, fueling calls to lower the age of criminal responsibility. By 2015, the law shifted, allowing 16-year-olds to be tried as adults for heinous crimes. But Amarjeet slipped through that net. His story lingers as a global enigma, a 7-year-old whose blank slate of evil baffles experts and haunts a world still asking why. Is Amarjeet proof some kids are born with darkness in their bones? At 7, he claimed 3 lives with a stillness that chills to the core. Now, at 27, in 2025, his shadow looms somewhere out there. We're handing this one to you. Was he a monster from the start, or did something twist him? Tell us what you think in the comments below. We've just torn through a countdown that'll haunt your nights. 5 kids who turned innocence into a weapon and left the world trembling. Each case carved deep scars, families shattered, communities shaken, and justice systems stretched to their breaking points. What pushes a child to cross that line into murder? Nature wiring them wrong, nurture twisting them dark, or some abyss we can't name. These aren't just crimes. They're a brutal shove against everything we think kids should be, forcing us to stare down the edge of innocence and ask where accountability begins. Which of these gut-wrenching tales hit you hardest? Should kids this dangerous face adult cages, or is there still hope to pull them back? Drop your take in the comments. Let's get this debate roaring. Like, subscribe, and smack that bell for more true crime dives. Thanks for riding this dark wave with us. See you next time.